Welcome to Byte-Sized Tech, where we blend casual conversations with the latest in technology and gadgets. Today, we're doing a deep dive into some really interesting tech trends.
Yeah.
Things that are going to have a big impact on your life. So we're talking about things like AI servers, cybersecurity, and how AI is going to change the future of work.
That's right.
It's a wild ride, so buckle up.
It is. And you know what's so fascinating about these three trends?
What's that?
They're all kind of intertwined.
Okay.
So, for instance, as AI gets more and more powerful, it demands more, powerful servers, right? And those servers, of course, become big targets for all their cyber attacks. And then, of course, the way we work is changing right in front of our eyes thanks to AI. So that creates some pretty awesome opportunities.
Yeah. But let's be honest, a few anxieties, too.
Exactly. All right, so let's start with the powerhouse of it all, AI servers.
Oh, okay.
We came across this article about Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, HPE.
And they're absolutely crushing it in the server business.
They really are.
Get this. They have a backlog of orders worth $3.5 billion.
Wow.
And that's mostly because of the huge demand for AI. So $3.5 billion, that's not just, spare change.
No. That's a huge indicator of just how much money is pouring into AI infrastructure right now. And companies are finally realizing the potential of AI, and they're ready to spend some serious cash on it.
Yeah.
I almost think of it like a digital gold rush.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
So, and this is where it gets even cooler, right? HPE has this super innovative server architecture called Blackwell.
Yeah, Blackwell.
And it's all about liquid cooling.
That's right.
Liquid cooling for servers. What's the deal with that?
So Blackwell is a real game changer, right? Because it's specifically designed to be able to handle the crazy processing demands of these AI applications. So not only is it way more energy efficient than all those old air-cooled servers, but it also means that you can pack a lot more computing power into a smaller space.
Oh, wow.
So think of it like a super efficient brain for the digital world.
And it's not just the big tech giants snapping these up, right?
Yeah.
It seems like everyone's jumping on this AI bandwagon.
Oh, absolutely. You have the hyperscalers, right? The companies with massive data centers like Google and Amazon, they're investing a ton. But then you also have governments who are building their own AI infrastructure.
Wow.
And then even smaller businesses are getting in on the action.
Really?
Yeah. So this isn't some niche technology anymore. AI is becoming accessible to everyone.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And you know what that means? Even the technology that you use every day, like your smartphone or even your refrigerator, they're probably going to be AI-powered very soon.
Whoa. So HPE isn't stopping there, though. They're also buying up Juniper Networks.
That's right.
A deal that's set to close in early 2025.
Yeah.
So what does that tell us about where they're headed?
I think that move is all about HPE getting ready for some pretty serious competition, especially from those big Chinese tech companies.
Right.
So with this acquisition, it boosts their capabilities in both AI and networking.
Oh, okay.
So that gives them a wider range of products and services. They're already a leader in supercomputing, but this move shows that they are really serious about staying ahead of the curve in this world of AI.
Okay, so we've got these super powerful AI servers driving a real tech revolution. But there's a flip side to all of this digital advancement, right?
Yeah.
It's a pretty scary one. We're talking about the ever-present threat of cyber attacks.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, did you see that stat about ransomware attacks surging by 70% this year?
It's unsettling, isn't it? It makes you realize just how vulnerable we all really are. I mean, imagine like a hospital getting locked out of all their systems. I mean, that's the reality of a ransomware attack. And the truth is that no system is 100% impenetrable. As we become more and more reliant on these digital systems, cybersecurity becomes absolutely crucial.
And it's not just businesses that are being targeted. It's schools, hospitals, even local governments. It seems like everyone's a potential target.
You're absolutely right. And unfortunately, a lot of these public institutions like schools and hospitals, they often lack the resources for really strong cybersecurity.
Yeah, that's a scary thought.
It is. It's a scary thought.
Yeah.
They're kind of sitting ducks out there.
So what could we do? We read about this company called Rubrik that's trying to help organizations bounce back after a cyber attack. So they're basically trying to build resilience into these systems, right?
Exactly. Rubrik gets that, it's not about if a breach is going to happen, but when it happens. And so they're really focused on making sure that organizations can minimize the damage.
Yeah.
And make sure that things can keep running even after a cyber attack has happened.
Right.
For places like hospitals, that's absolutely essential.
And as we're using more data-intensive applications, things like, those fancy Gen Air appliances that are supposed to make our lives easier,
Yeah.
aren't we just creating more ways for hackers to get in?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Technology is evolving so fast, and so are the ways that hackers are going to try and attack.
Right.
So we have to be proactive about cybersecurity. We have to adapt our defenses as technology changes. We can't just sit back and be complacent.
Right. So we've talked about these really powerful AI servers. They're really driving this tech revolution. And we talked about the importance of cybersecurity to keep everything safe and running.
Yeah.
But what does all this mean for our jobs?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of talk about, AI taking over.
Yeah.
And that's got a lot of people worried.
I totally get the anxiety. The idea of robots taking our jobs, it's a classic sci-fi trope, right?
Yeah.
But if you look at the data, it paints a slightly different picture. So AI is definitely going to change how we work. But it's not necessarily a job killer. In fact, the U.S. economy is still adding jobs. The latest report shows we've got over 200,000 new jobs, so it's not all doom and gloom.
Okay, so it's more about adapting to these new changes than being replaced.
Exactly.
Like we need to learn to work with AI rather than fear it.
That's a great way to put it. Think of it like digital labor. AI can handle a lot of those, really repetitive tasks, which frees us humans up to focus on things that really require human skills, things like creativity and critical thinking and problem solving. So it's about augmenting our abilities, not replacing us entirely.
There was a great example of this with Salesforce.
Right, yeah.
Instead of laying people off, they're retraining those employees to focus on selling those AI-powered tools.
That's a perfect example of a company that is embracing this change and investing in their people. And it really shows how important it is for employees to upskill and become AI literate. It's not just about knowing how to use a computer anymore.
Right.
It's about understanding how AI works and how you can work with it.
But that brings up a big challenge, though, doesn't it? Bridging this skills gap.
Uh-huh.
And making sure that everyone has access to the training that they need to keep up. I mean, not everyone can just go back to school or take these expensive courses.
That's such a crucial point. And it's a problem that we really need to address. We need really solid training programs that go beyond just basic AI awareness. Employees need to understand how to really work alongside AI. How to use its strengths.
Right.
And understand its limitations as well. So it's about empowerment, not just basic knowledge.
And then there's this whole other thing about digital agents becoming more common.
Yeah, yeah.
I read that 25% of companies are expected to be using them by next year.
Yeah.
So what does that even look like for the average worker? Are we all going to have robot coworkers?
It's not quite robots taking over the coffee machine just yet.
Okay, good.
But it does suggest that the future of work is probably going to be some sort of hybrid model, right? Where AI and human skills can really work together.
Okay.
So, AI will handle a lot of those repetitive tasks like data entry and scheduling, but humans will still be really essential for the tasks that really require things like empathy, creativity, and complex decision-making. So think of it as a collaboration, not a competition.
Okay, so we're basically talking about a workplace where humans and AI are partners.
That's a great way to put it.
This is kind of cool when you think about it.
It is.
But it also brings up a lot of questions like, how do we even prepare for this? And how do we make sure that everyone benefits from this collaboration? What about those anxieties that you mentioned earlier? I think we need to dig into those a bit more.
I completely agree. There's so much to unpack here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a future that's full of possibilities, but we need to be thoughtful about how we navigate it.
Okay. So we've covered a lot of ground already.
Yeah.
From the power of these AI servers to the importance of cybersecurity and how the very nature of work is changing. But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, there's another fascinating aspect of AI that we need to talk about.
Okay.
It's potential to actually enhance human creativity.
Now, That's where things get really interesting. We tend to think of creativity as something that's, uniquely human, but AI is blurring those lines in a way that's, well, it's both really exciting and maybe a little bit unsettling.
Right, yeah.
We're seeing AI composing music and creating art, writing stories, even designing fashion.
It's like AI is becoming this creative partner.
Yeah.
And it's helping us explore new ideas and kind of push the boundaries of what's even possible.
Exactly. And AI can analyze these huge amounts of data and spot patterns, and it can come up with combinations that we might never have thought of on our own. So it's a powerful tool for inspiration and a way to kind of expand our own creative horizons.
But does that mean that AI will eventually replace human artists and creators? I mean, is that the end game here?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of debate about it. Yet,
yeah.
Some people think that AI will eventually surpass human capabilities in every single area, even creativity. But others argue that real creativity, the kind that really moves us and makes us think, well, that requires a depth of understanding, emotional intelligence, and lived experience that AI it can't replicate.
It's a fascinating debate, and one that we're going to be grappling with for years to come.
Sure.
I mean, it goes beyond just art, right?
Totally.
It's about what it means to be human in a world where machines can create.
Exactly. It's not just a philosophical discussion anymore, right?
Right.
It has real implications for the arts and entertainment, even how we define human expression.
Wow. Okay. So we've covered a lot of ground here, from AI servers to cybersecurity, the future of work, even AI's role in creativity.
A lot.
But before we move on to the next part of our deep dive, I want to make sure that we bring it back to the listener. So what does all of this even mean for them? What should they be thinking about as they're navigating this rapidly changing world?
That's a great question. I think the key takeaway here is that we're living in a time of incredible technological advancement. And it's impacting every single part of our lives. AI, cybersecurity, the future of work. These aren't just some abstract concepts. They're real forces that are shaping our present and our future. Your present and your future.
Both exciting and a little bit intimidating. It's like we're kind of on the edge of something huge, but we're not quite sure what it's going to look like.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
But I think the best way to navigate this is to, stay curious, stay informed, and be willing to have these open conversations about the implications of it all.
Right.
Technology is a tool. It's up to us to use it responsibly.
Yeah.
And make sure that it benefits everyone.
Well said. All right, I think it's time for us to wrap up this part of our Byte-Sized Tech Deep Dive.
Okay.
We've covered a lot of ground, but we're not done yet. So be sure to join us for part 2, where we're going to delve even deeper into these trends and explore what they really mean for your future.
Sounds good. It's funny, we talk about all this amazing technology, but sometimes I feel like I'm barely keeping up with my own smartphone.
I hear that.
Yeah, it can be a bit overwhelming, even for someone who's, supposed to be an expert.
Yeah. And for folks who aren't immersed in tech every day, it must feel like they're, trying to drink from a fire hose. That's why we're here, right? To break it all down and make it relatable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of relatable, before we get too deep into the ethics of AI and all that, there's one company we haven't touched on yet that I think everyone will recognize, DocuSign.
DocuSign. Oh, yeah, good one.
They're doing some pretty cool stuff with electronic signatures, and they're becoming more and more relevant than ever.
Oh, absolutely. DocuSign is a great example of a company that's not just keeping up with this digital transformation, they're actually leading the charge. So they've built this user base of over 1 billion people, right?
Yeah.
And they're moving beyond simple e-signatures.
Okay.
To actually managing that entire agreement process.
Oh, wow.
So it's like they're streamlining the way businesses operate in this increasingly digital world.
Yeah. And you're growing like crazy, especially internationally. It seems like the world is finally catching on to the benefits of those digital agreements.
Well, it makes sense, right? It's faster and more secure. It's better for the environment than all that, paper-based stuff.
Yeah.
And as more companies are doing business globally, having a really smooth and efficient way to manage agreements is crucial.
Yeah. No more couriers and lost faxes. They're not the only ones in the game, are they? There's got to be competition out there.
Oh, for sure. There are other players out there, some who are offering those lower priced options.
Right.
But what DocuSign is really doing is focusing on this intelligent agreement management.
Okay.
So it's not just about this signature. It's about the automation. It's about the analytics.
Mm-hmm.
It's about making sure everything is compliant.
It's a smart move. It sounds like they're aiming to be like the go-to solution for businesses of all sizes, from, those mom and pop shops to those giant corporations.
Exactly. And they're betting that this comprehensive approach will resonate with those bigger companies, right?
Mm.
The ones who want a really reliable partner. Right.
Who can help them navigate all the complexities of these digital agreements. Because, let's face it, as technology evolves, so do those legal and compliance challenges.
Well, it definitely sounds like DocuSign is a company to watch in the coming years. I mean, they're right there at the forefront of a major shift in how we do business.
For sure.
And that's always exciting to see.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? Their success really underscores this broader point that we've been talking about today.
What's up?
Companies, they really need to adapt and innovate if they want to thrive in this digital age.
Yeah.
Because those who are clinging to the old ways of doing things, they're going to be left behind.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today, from the nitty-gritty of those AI servers to the mind-blowing potential of AI for the future of work, creativity.
Yeah.
We even talked about how companies like DocuSign are changing the way we handle everyday tasks, like signing a document.
But before we wrap things up, I want to bring it back to something that you mentioned earlier about those anxieties that come with all this change.
Right.
And I think it's important to acknowledge those feelings.
Yeah.
And maybe offer a little reassurance.
Absolutely. It's natural to feel a bit anxious, right, when the world is changing so rapidly around us.
Yeah.
I mean, technology can be empowering and intimidating at the same time, but I think it's important to remember that we have agency in this, right?
Right.
We can choose how we engage with technology and how we shape its development.
So what advice would you give to someone who's feeling overwhelmed or even, a little bit scared by all this talk of AI and the future of work?
First and foremost, don't panic.
Okay, good advice.
Remember that technology is a tool.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to us to decide how we want to use it.
Right.
So instead of fearing those changes, embrace them.
Yeah.
See them as opportunities to learn new skills, to explore new possibilities.
I love that. It's about taking control.
Yeah.
And becoming an active participant in shaping the future rather than just being, swept along by it.
Exactly. And that starts with education and staying informed.
Mm-hmm.
So read articles, listen to podcasts like this one.
Yeah.
Have conversations with people who are knowledgeable about these topics. The more you understand about these technologies, the less intimidating they become.
And don't be afraid to ask questions.
Oh, absolutely.
There's no shame in not knowing everything. In fact, asking questions is the best way to learn and to make sure that that your voice is heard.
Absolutely. Challenge those assumptions that you hear. Think critically about the implications of these technologies, and don't be afraid to express your concerns.
Yeah.
We all have a role to play in making sure that technology is being used for good, and that it's benefiting everyone.
That's such a powerful message. It's not about surrendering to the machines.
Mm-hmm.
It's about, taking the reins and steering them in a direction that benefits humanity.
Yeah.
And that starts with each and every one of us being informed and engaged and empowered.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, I think that's a great place to wrap up this part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We've explored the power of those AI servers, the importance of cybersecurity, the evolving nature of work, and even how technology is impacting our creativity.
A lot.
But there's still so much more to discuss. So join us for the final part of our episode where we're going to answer your questions and hopefully leave you with some food for thought as you navigate this ever-changing technological landscape.
Welcome back to Byte-Sized Tech. We've been on quite a journey, right?
We have.
Exploring AI servers, cybersecurity, the future of work, even technology and creativity. But before we wrap up this deep dive, I wanted to touch on one more thing. It's this idea of a hybrid workforce. We talked about it a little bit before, but I think it's worth digging in a little deeper. I think that's a great idea. The hybrid workforce is going to be a major part of our future, and it's something that everyone, no matter what industry you're in, should be thinking about.
Exactly. So for those who missed it, we're talking about this work environment where humans and AI are working side by side,
Right.
each kind of leveraging their own unique strengths. But what does that actually look like in practice? Can you give us some concrete examples?
Absolutely. So let's take the healthcare industry, for example. Imagine a doctor who's using AI to analyze, medical images, help with diagnoses.
Mm.
The AI can process huge amounts of data in seconds,
Wow.
spotting patterns that a human might miss.
Right.
And that can really help the doctor make a more accurate and timely diagnosis. But ultimately, it's still the doctor with their years of training and experience who makes the final call.
Right.
And determines the best course of treatment.
So it's like the AI is like a superpowered assistant.
Yeah.
Augmenting the doctor's skills, but not replacing their expertise.
Yeah, precisely. And we're seeing similar things happening in other industries too. So in finance, AI is being used to analyze those market trends, make investment recommendations.
Mm-hmm.
But you still have those human financial advisors there to guide clients, help them make the best decisions for their unique circumstances. And in manufacturing, robots are taking over a lot of those really repetitive and dangerous tasks,
Right.
which then frees up the human workers to focus on those more complex and creative aspects of production.
So it's really about finding that sweet spot, that optimal balance between human and artificial intelligence.
Exactly. It's about leveraging the strengths of both to create a more efficient, productive, and ultimately a more fulfilling work environment.
But this shift to a hybrid workforce isn't without its challenges. What are some of the things that we need to be thinking about as we're navigating this transition?
I think one of the biggest challenges is going to be addressing the skills gap. We need to make sure that people have the training and the education that they need to work effectively alongside AI. And this isn't just about this technical skills. It's also about developing that critical thinking, problem solving, communication skills that are going to be so essential in this new world of work.
It's almost like we need to reimagine education.
Yeah.
Right? We can't just teach people how to do the jobs that exist today. We have to prepare them for jobs that haven't even been invented yet.
That's a great point. We need to foster this culture of lifelong learning.
Right.
Where people are constantly updating their skills and adapting to those new technologies.
And what about the ethical considerations? I mean, we're talking about machines that can learn and make decisions.
Right.
And that raises some pretty big questions about bias, fairness, accountability.
Absolutely. We need to be very mindful of the ethical implications of AI and ensure that these technologies are being developed and used responsibly. And that means having these really open and honest conversations about things like data privacy, algorithmic bias, and the potential impact of AI on society as a whole.
It's a lot to think about, but it's clear that this hybrid workforce isn't just some futuristic concept.
Right.
It's something that's already happening.
It is. It's happening all around us.
Exactly. And while there will undoubtedly be challenges along the way, I'm optimistic about the potential of this new era of work. I think it really has the potential to create a more equitable, fulfilling, and innovative work environment for everyone.
I agree.
Well, I think that's a perfect note to end on. We've covered a lot of ground today, but hopefully we've left you with a better understanding of the forces that are shaping the future of technology and how they're going to impact your life both at work and beyond.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for tuning in to Byte-Sized Tech. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more fun tech discussions. Until next time, keep exploring that ever-evolving world of technology.